guys, I'm Michael Glass from michaelglass.com, and I want to thank you for taking the time to stop by and watch our video. Before we begin, we always like to start off with our disclaimers. Any symbols you see today should not be inferred as a trading recommendation. No matter what form of investing you choose, stock, forex, futures, options, they all have a level of risk associated with them. You can lose your money. The strategies we talk about today are for educational purposes only. Future results are not guaranteed. And finally, most importantly, any investment decision you make is your own responsibility. Trade at your own risk. So again, I want to thank you for stopping by to watch our video. This is our weekend stock market review. As a part of that, we're going to talk about the key events of the past week that moved the market one way or the other. We're going to talk about key support and resistance levels. Again, no matter what type of trader you are, you need to be aware of the long-term trend and the long-term support and resistance, because consolidation, reversals, things can happen on that you might not see on those micro levels or 1-minute day traders, 5-minute day traders. So you always want to be aware of where we are in the market in the long-term sense. We want to look at our market leaders. You know, they lead the market, so if they're down, if they're up, the rest of the market probably will go with them. So we want to take a look at some of our big market leaders. We also want to look at some of our market indicators. What's going on with the dollar, gold, crude oil. Hopefully crude oil is going to keep on going down. That's for my guess. And then, of course, we want to see what's going to happen this week that could move the market one way or the other. And then we'll have a short education spotlight at the end. So let's begin. So when we look at what happened last week, we definitely saw a positive week. 10 of our sectors, all of them basically posted gains, and we're testing some of our recent highs. The Dow's lagging a little bit, but the S&P and the Nasdaq are retesting some of the highs they made recently. One of the things that happened on Monday to start that nice week for the week is that Greece sent another request over for the creditors. What's funny about that is that they initially, as a country, voted down the bailout, and they basically sent the same thing over. What's the only hiccup that could possibly happen is that as a part of the request, they asked for long-term debt restructuring, and the European Union said they're not doing that. So there still is some gray area about the Greek bailout, but it looks like it's taking a turn to the positive. In terms of corporate news, we had Google's earnings. I don't know what Google said. I'll be totally honest with you. I did not really look at it on Friday. But what I will do is show you the chart. And what happened on Friday with their earnings was magnificent. It's a glorious chart. Anybody in Google, I know right now you're giggling. So we'll see. On the economic front, as far as the dollar is concerned and interest rates and how that can move the market, Fed Chairman Janet Yellen reiterated that at some point later this year they're going to raise rates, despite what's going on right now. And so that definitely weakened with the possibility of interest rates looming future. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts and take a look. So of course we want to start off with the S&P 500. And I have a weekly chart up just to show you this massive uptrend that we've been in for such a long time. But also what I want you to see as we look at this weekly chart is, yes, we are retesting highs as we mentioned, but also you can also see that this new high that we have made, or retesting highs, we've been sitting here for really, you can see down here at the bottom, since February. You see the dates down here. So we've been retesting these highs for a while there. And for the first time, if you can see this uptrend line right here, we're coming out of that for the first time. So that doesn't necessarily mean, sell, but it is important to note that we did pop out. But you can see once we hit the 50 moving average, we did pop ourselves right back in, but we haven't gone back out to retest the top of this trend line, this channel also. So we've tested the bottom a couple times, but you can see since February we haven't gone back up here to get up here to the top. So but again, it is the summer months. We'll see what happens, but it is important to know that we see some sideways action. So definitely bullish in terms of support and resistance. If I come down here to the daily chart, you can see a little bit more of this choppiness, and you can see basically right now the S&P 500 is at a resistance price level. So again, you can be bullish as you want to be, but notice that at this point, this is a price level that sellers tend to come in with orders and try to push the market down. Switching over to the Dow Jones, you can see not quite at the highs like the S&P was, but once again, we can see this sideways moving action. The we are in an uptrend like the S&P, but again, you can see we've actually leveled out a little bit sooner on the Dow Jones. And so um, we've got support of the 200 moving average, but we're in the middle of the zone right now. Good news is if I were to draw a downtrend line here, we've broken through that. So that is a little bullish, but overall, again, you can see the sideways price action. So sellers definitely look like they can take control shortly if we come back and retest the highs. But we know news drives everything. And similar to the S&P 500, we've got the NASDAQ, which is also doing very well. And if I do take the time to bring it right back out, here's our weekly. You can see a beautiful uptrend line. But you can see with the NASDAQ, we've actually made new highs here recently. Go back. And one of the reasons you might want to think about that, of course, we have, as we talked about before, the Google News that can move the market. Apple now is in the Dow Jones. So that should be interesting because the bears weren't able to push us back down. And you can see we are moving up. And we spent a while before we touched the top half of this, but definitely we see some strength in the NASDAQ market. So everything's bullish right now, but it's important to note that over the past couple of months we have been going sideways. The NASDAQ is the first index really to, I would say, break out of that sideways price action. But will we see the other two markets bring it down? Now, as we talk about some of the market leaders, I'm going to switch charts here for a second. There we go. And let's go to our first one. Let's make sure. There we go. Start off with Apple. The main thing we should see with Apple, definitely moving. You can see that 2 months since February's sideways price action. We can see it in Apple. Not sure what happened to my support resistance lines, but that's a whole separate issue. I'll figure it out later. But again, you can kind of see, even if I redraw real quick, you can see there's, basically our top of our line somewhere down in here. Bottom of our line, Apple's in the middle of it. But again, consolidation sideways price actions. You can expect the bears to have some sell orders up here to push the market down. But also look over here, and we can see in terms of our volume profile, we did just break above one of our big peaks here. Our point of control is basically right in this area. So if we can get probably above 130, we might start to get out of this heavy volume and go up and start to test. So the high here is around 133, 134. So, and you can see right here, once we get about 134, we do have light volume, mainly because we don't have a lot of price action up there. So right now we're above the congestion, and we can see we built up this congestion because of what's been going on over the past 2 months. So Apple, I would say sideways to bullish. Let's go with Amazon. I really don't know what happened on my trend lines. I'm going to have to check that out and figure out what in the world just happened. You can see we broke out of this consolidation area right here. We're definitely above that. And you can see we're above where that volume consolidated here and pushing higher. So Amazon, I would definitely say bullish, but definitely overextended a little bit. What about Facebook? Facebook breaking out. Again, you want to know why the NASDAQ is breaking out ahead of everybody else. Look at these charts that we are pulling up here. Whoops. And you can really get a good idea what's going on. Same thing here, breaking out above the consolidation, moving higher. Amazon definitely bullish, and you can see the price action moving up here on this side, and definitely got some volume here up here in the 94 price level. But very, very, very impressive. That's another one bullish. Let's go. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. This doesn't even. Let's do it this way, just so you can get. Look at this candle. Can you see it? Look at this candle here on the weekly chart. Basically $130, $140 on the weekly chart. But again, if I go back down to the daily chart, You can see basically we had earnings, and so if you bought 580 and it closed at 672, that's basically $90 in a day. So I would assume that's definitely going to be bullish. But what's important is look at that. Where did the market close at before earnings? Right here at the previous high. This is why you got to take the time to do this. Obviously, very, 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 very bullish. But that is news controlled. News controlled. So we're definitely above the volume on Google. Goldman Sachs. Okay, so here you can see the first one, probably looking like the rest of the market where we're kind of consolidating here. Starting to build another volume area in here, another peak. Volume is definitely accumulating here in this 210, 215 price level. Let's go back out. I mean, certainly we have an uptrend going on here, but some sideways price action like that we see in the S&P 500. So sideways, the bullish here on Goldman Sachs. Netflix. Oh, I remember when Netflix, when they did that price change and Netflix drop it like it was hot. But Netflix definitely has made a new run. Had earnings in here recently and has responded positively to that. So Netflix is definitely bullish, but again, we have some news on that, and you can see how the price action has kind of accumulated a little bit over a little bit, but now with the news, it's starting up a new zone. So bullish on Netflix. And the last one we're going to look at is Priceline. If you have one that you want to look at that you think is truly market leader, send me an email, post on my comments, and let me know. But these are the ones that I think are true market leaders. Definitely sideways price action on this one. Look at the price level. I remember there was a talk about Apple or Google going to 1,000, but Priceline beat them both. If you look at our volume profile, really just sitting here in the heart of it. So it's going to take something to get it outside of that. Could it be more news? Well, it's not going to be news because we already had earnings right there. So we'll see. But definitely sideways and bullish on Priceline. So for the most part, those are all fine. Market leaders are definitely positive, sideways, and more leaning towards the bullish side. If we go to our market indicators, let's start off with the dollar. And you can see a nice little uptrend going on here, but just like the market, we're starting to see some sideways price action. I'm sorry to keep saying this, but I just don't know where all my support resistance levels have gone. So I definitely have to talk to Thinkorswim, find out what happened. Certainly in the uptrend, starting to move sideways. It's going to be interesting to see, again, as we talked about with the interest rates, what that's going to do to the dollar. But you definitely see price really starting to accumulate here in between 95 and 100. Let's go to gold, which I believe has hit some lows. Definitely in a downtrend from the highs, and really starting to push lower here. Probably broke out of its newest range. And one thing is interesting, if you come over here and see, now that we've gotten out of our value area low, where price has accumulated, you can see the candles make it bigger because there's not volume. There's not a lot of buyers or sellers, whatever range it was. So we might see a little push lower. Weak in gold. And we'll finish off with crude oil. Crude oil is definitely going sideways. I won't say an uptrend, even though we do have a little bit going on here. But we're probably at the low of the range that's consolidating in. Look at the over here. We can see price really accumulating in that $60 range. Volume's really accumulating here. Some volume also accumulated down here at 45. Seems to be the low where buyers are really coming in. Putting controls at 51, but you can really see price really starting to peak out here at 60 and at 51. So overall, what did we see? We saw our three major markets, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones, all bullish, but moving sideways, with the NASDAQ breaking out of that sideways consolidation. Why? Well, we saw that. Look at the Amazon chart. Look at Google's chart. So we do have our tech stocks are definitely moving out. So our leaders were all for the most part bullish, some sideways in there. And when we looked at our market indicators, we saw the dollar moving up sideways, and we saw a weak gold, and we also saw a little bit weak on our crude oil. So as we look to see what possibly can move the market next week, our key events, we're going to start off with the overall market. And again, we're basically going to see a continuation of summertime sadness. Traders are on vacation, traders are doing other things. I really sometimes avoid this the afternoon session. Looking to see that continue. Overseas, not a lot's going on. Certainly there are some things with Britain, the Aussie, there are some currency money releases coming out, but I don't think anything is going to move the market. Again, Greece. Greece news can and will move the market. The Greece bailout. Corporate news, we've got Apple earnings coming out after the close on Tuesday. We also have Amazon this week. And we will be talking about Apple in our You Make the Call video for this week will be Apple. Next week we're going to do Amazon. So make sure you check out our YouTube channel to see what we have to say about Apple. Is it a buy? Is it a sell? And we don't have any real economic news scheduled for the next week, really for the next couple weeks, as far as jobless claims and that doesn't really move the market, but non-farm payroll, those things, nothing major is coming down the pike as far as economic data. So for our education spotlight, I have one question for you. What's your edge? The problem that I see with traders who are not successful is that they're not trading an edge. They're trading systems. They may be trading setups, but they're not trading an edge. What are you doing to put the odds in your favor? I always like to talk trading and poker. And every time I watch poker, I was watching poker yesterday, the World Series of Poker, and you always put those percentages up there, and a pair versus an ace king, they know the percentages, So when they're betting, when they're playing poker, they make sure the odds are in their favor. Rarely do you see all-ins, except for when you're the small amount of money. You're about to lose your money. You'll see some all-ins in that situation. But a lot of times, they know their numbers, they know their percentages, they know their edge before they bet. Sure, can they lose? What do they talk about? A bad river, but still, they know their edge. So what is your edge? How are you making sure you're going to be successful in the market? The problem that many people make is that they fall in love with technical indicators, or they get into this analysis paralysis where they just can't, they have too many indicators on their chart. And sometimes they forget the fact that even though the technical indicators say that the market's going to do one thing, news overrides everything. So we have to be aware of the key events coming up in a week so that we can be prepared for if news can move the market. So, what I like to think about it is, what are you doing to be aware when a market is overbought, oversold? What are you doing to make sure you know key support and resistance levels? What are you doing to know the underlying context of the market with the market internals? That's what you need to know. That's how you can define your edge. That's how you can, let me rephrase that. It's not necessarily how you define your edge. It is how you can put the odds in your favor. Your edge may be a certain setup. It may be a certain pattern. But having a toolbox of indicators, of ways that you're interpreting the market, that's how you can confirm your edge, by being able to be aware of what's going on with the context of the market. You always know, for me, one of the biggest things that we have in our free video series, do you know what time it is? Market context is huge to being a successful trader. So we got a great resource for you. Of course, we have our YouTube and Facebook pages. On YouTube, I am Move Up with Mike. On Facebook, I am Learn the Truth About Money. Some great videos there for you to continue to not only become a better trader, but just to raise your financial literacy. And then we've got this great offer for you guys, pay to trade. You keep 80% of the profits. That is a great thing. michaelglass.com/pay to trade is how you can take advantage of this offer from Top Step Trader. And then it doesn't really make a difference if you're watching my video, if you're buying a new indicator, a new trading system, you can do everything you want. But if at the end of the day you don't pull your trigger, it all doesn't matter. Thanks, guys. And remember, tomorrow we have our You Make the Call video on Apple.